Welcome back, everyone, to another exciting installment of my podcast. I have a few new things. So, I shouldn't really say new things. I'm trying something new, is what I should say. I'm going to start reading the facts as normal, as Dr. Seuss, but for certain things like the rest of the Boogeyman stories, I kind of want to start reading them like as if they're campfire stories, spooky stories. It's spooky story time. And I think that will be pretty fun. I really do. I think that. I personally think that. I believe it. So, let's see. Let's start off with the popular tradition of the word of the day. The word of the day is hullabaloo. And as always, I've asked ChatGPT to explain the word to me like as if I am five, to really talk down to me. Oh, whoa, little buddy, you picked a big word. Are you sure your tiny little brain can handle it? Okay. I'll help you, but try not to get lost, okay? The word is hullabaloo. Ha-la-ba-loo. Say it slowly with me. Ha-la-ba-loo. Now faster. Hullabaloo. Whoa, you're practically a genius now. A hullabaloo is a big noisy mess, like when you and your friends all scream at the same time because somebody brought cupcakes. That's a hullabaloo. When your dog runs through the house knocking over everything, that's a hullabaloo too. So next time things get really, really loud and crazy, you can say, "Oh no, what a hullabaloo." And everyone will think, "Wow, that kid knows big words." You're welcome. Now go tell your stuffed animals about it. What makes you think I have stuffed animals? I have a lot of friends who has plushies. That's what they like to call them, plushies. I don't. I might have something somewhere that could be used as a plushie, but like I don't know. I never saw the appeal of it. My mom has a lot of plushies. She likes to decorate her bed with like hundreds of them, and they she really likes them. I don't know. Maybe if I got like a Pikachu plushie, because Pikachu's my favorite Pokemon. And when I say it's my favorite Pokemon, I mean I'm a fanatic. I if it's Pikachu, I will love it deeply. So maybe if it's like a Pikachu plushie, maybe I'll have to like see if I can find an affordable Pikachu plushie. Um, let's move towards the fun facts. So the fun facts for that will be in Dr. Seuss form will not be the boogeyman stories. That has been changed to something else. But the fun facts will literally now just be random facts. Um, this one is about ATMs for inline skaters. And I told ChatGPT because I'm not that creative. I can't make poetry on the spot. Ugh. But I told it to take all of the facts and turn it into a Dr. Seuss story. Oh, what a sight. What a scene. An ATM made for folks who glean. Their cash on wheels, so fast, so keen. A skater's dream in pink and green. In 1960, in Miami Beach, a bank did something quite unique. Citibank, so wise, so bright, saw skaters had a tricky plight. They zoomed, they swayed, they rolled with grace, but stopping quick, a risky case. So when they needed cash real fast, a normal ATM, a thing of the past. We need a plan, the bank folks said, and Ronald Hernandez led. A ramp, a lane, so smooth, so neat. No cars allowed, just skates on feet. The lane was narrow, the path was clear. The pink lined road said, skaters here. The very first, yes, that's the fact. An ATM built for those who glide intact. A test run here a brand new way. A skater stopped to save the day. So if you skate and need some dough, Miami Beach was the place to go. Oh, wow. So good. I think that's kind of interesting that Miami Beach. I mean, in order for Miami Beach to be like, oh yeah, we need to make an ATM for inline skaters, that has to be like a lot of inline skaters. I have to imagine it wasn't just like one or two. Like, it has to be, I imagine, popular enough to where the bank was just kind of like, oh yeah, no, that's a problem. We should probably get some ATMs for these people. They they need their money. We can't make them take off their inline skates. But like, what's next though? ATMs at the ice rink? What's next? We don't want them taking off their ice skates. We gotta like make sure they get their money while they're skating. I don't know. I think it's a little silly, but also pretty clever at the same time. So I don't know. I'm a little unsure of which side to pick on that one. All right, here's the next one. Oh, North Carolina, a place so neat, with mountains high and beaches sweet. But laws? Oh boy, there's quite a show. And here's one fact you ought to know. If you sing out loud, all wild and free, but hit the notes so horribly. Well, guess what? It's true. Oh gee, that might just be illegally. Now, don't you fear, no need to flee. The cops won't chase you down, you see. This law's so old, it's just for fun. And fines, well, there's almost none. It all began with William Lincoln, a man whose voice would drop your jaw. But not because it charmed the crowd. His notes were wrong and way too loud. Their church folks groaned, their ears in pain. They begged him, please, not that refrain. He sang so bad, they took a stand, and off to court, oh yes, he ran. The judge sat back and heard the case, then tried his best to keep a straight face. The verdict came, oh what a sight, a fine of just 1 cent. All right. So while this law may still exist, a cop won't chase you, don't insist. Sing off key, let it out a yell. You won't be locked inside a cell. And North Carolina, oh what a place, with odd old rules that time won't erase. So sing it loud, don't hold back. Just maybe warn the folks out back. That's kind of hilarious. I probably wouldn't mind getting that kind of a ticket, to be honest. It'd just be 1 cent. Just 1 penny. But like, at least you could be like, oh yeah, I got this ticket for singing off key. I had to pay a fine. And you just like, you had to go down to the court to give them a penny. But like, could you imagine not paying that ticket and like, they send out a bail officer to come after you and you had to go to jail and they're like, what are you in here for, bud? Like, oh, singing off key. What? But that's just a penny. It's like, yeah, I forgot to pay it. I forgot to pay that. Whoops. That was a mistake. That was a mistake. I'm sorry. Don't send me to jail. I'm sorry. All right. Here's the thing. Normally I do only 3 of these. I'm doing 4. That's right, 4. I want to see how well everyone likes the number 4. The number 4, the greatest number of all. I'm kidding, of course. Everyone knows the greatest number of all is number 5. Number 4 is not as good as number 5 because number 5 is better than number 4, but better than number 3 because 3 is not as good as number 4, but number 5 is better than 3. But then number 2 is better than 3, but not as good as number 4. But number 4 is better than number 1 because number 1 is only the number 1 for number 1, but it's not as good as number 5. The next one is going to be called The Chimp Who Wore Grass. Deep in a jungle where chimpanzees play, a curious chimp had a strange kind of day. Her name was Julie, and what did she do? She stuck some grass right in her ear. Ooh. Now, grass in her ear, that's quite a sight. Did it help her swing? Did it help her bite? Did it bring her food? Did it bring her cheer? Nope, it just sat in her little chimp ear. The others all started and wiggled their toes. Then one little chimp said, I'll try it, who knows? Then two chimps did it, then three, then four, till soon there were chimps with grass galore. A fashion was born, a new style took flight. No purpose, no reason, just felt kinda right. Not for food, not for fun, not to win a mate, just a trend that spread at a curious rate. Some scientists came and scratched at their chins. They puzzled, they pondered, they asked where to begin. This isn't for hunting, it's not for survival, it's just a new trend, like hats at a carnival. Yes, chimps have culture, it spreads like a song. One starts the dance and the rest dance along. Like humans with haircuts or bright colored shoes, chimps follow trends just like me and like you. So if you see chimps with grass in their ear, don't worry, don't wonder, don't call it too weird. They're just like us in their own little way, making traditions that might fade or stray. That's kind of cool, actually. The chimpanzees, they figured out ear piercings. They figured out how to do ear piercings. Interesting. What's next? They're gonna start wearing clothes? They're gonna start communicating to each other and like gossip? I actually do know that there's some chimps that can learn sign language. Like, I think there was a gorilla that was able to communicate in sign language. Now that I think about it, and maybe there was a chimp that learned it. And, like, I can only imagine that once they start learning sign language, like, they have a physical form of communication, from what I understood, that, like, there are chimpanzees that communicate through physical motion with their bodies, and they have, like, certain grunts and moans that they do that signify certain things, but then they like can switch that up with sign language. And I think there's like certain things that chimpanzees can communicate, but then once they start learning sign language, then they can just openly gossip about us. Like, there's just a bunch of chimpanzees in the zoo and they like see us and like, ugh, did you see that lady over there? What a horrible dress. Wow, I can't believe she really thought she could pull that off. But then, you know, that would give me more reasons to avoid the chimpanzees at the zoo. I don't want them gossiping about me. I don't want them laughing at me. That'd be horrible. Here is the final almost said task. Here's the final fact. Oh, let me tell you a tale so bright of donkeys snoozing every night in tubs so big and smooth and round where rubber duckies float around. Some folks will say, oh no, oh dear, a donkey cannot sleep in here. They think the law will make a fuss and take that bathtub off the bus. But hold your horses. Wait, hold on. That still rule is just a con. No law says tubs are donkey free. It's just a tale, now let it be. So where'd the silly tale begin? A donkey snoozed with sleepy grin. A flood came in, oh, what a sight, and washed that donkey out of sight. Some folks then thought, well, that's not good. They'll make a law, oh yes, they should. But check the rules, they do not say, the tubs and donkeys stay away. Still, Arizona's laws are weird. Some rules are strange, some leave you scared. Like down in Nogales, oh my stars, no suspenders, only bars. So don't believe each wacky tale. Not all weird laws are real or pale. For donkey tubs and rules so strange, some facts get lost. So rearrange. That would have been actually hilarious if that was a real law. They should make it a real law. That's super funny. No donkeys in bathtubs. No, no, no. No, no, no. They're not allowed to sleep in them. Don't do that. What a hullabaloo. What a bunch of nonsense. What a bunch of noise for that. I don't think I used that right. I think I was a little what's the word? Bumfuzzled? I think I was a little bumfuzzled. Alright. Now, as I had mentioned earlier in the podcast, that I was not going to do the rhyming for the facts of the spooky, scary boogeyman. And if you kind of want me to go back and do this to the other ones, let me know. I'll probably pull up a poll in the live chat and ask if everyone wants me to sort of do it more like this for the scary boogeymen, and if I should go back and do it to the previous boogeymen that I've told facts about. But what I want to do is turn these facts into a campfire story. That way, you kind of get the legend a little better in the form of a spooky story. And I think that would be kind of fun, because these are boogeymen, and I feel like the best way to spread facts about the boogeyman is through campfire stories. So this story is called The Weeping Woman. In Spanish, it is La Llorona. A long time ago, in a quiet village by the river, there was a woman named Maria. She was the most beautiful woman in town, with long black hair that shined like the night sky, and eyes as deep as the river itself. She married a wealthy man, and together they had 2 children. For a while, they were happy, but her husband began to change. He stayed away for long nights, and when he returned, his eyes were cold. Then one day, Maria saw him with another woman, a younger woman, a richer woman. Rage filled Maria's heart. Her hands trembled. Her breath burned in her throat. She took her children to the river, whispering, "If he does not want us, then he will have no children at all." The water was cold. The current was strong. And when she let them go, their cries faded beneath the rushing waves. At once her rage turned to horror. Her children were gone. She screamed and threw herself into the river, but the water did not take her the way it took them. Instead, she wandered the shores, crying out, "Ay miesos, ay mias, ay mis hijos." Sorry, I don't know how to speak Spanish. But I think I'm saying that right. Ay mis hijos. Ay mis hijos. Oh, my children. That's what it says. I'll just say, "Oh, my children," for that. When she finally closed her eyes for the last time, the village thought it was over. But that was just the beginning. Maria did not find peace. She still walks the rivers, the lakes, the streams, anywhere water flows. Her long white dress is soaked, her black hair clings to her face, and her eyes are empty, forever searching. They say if you hear her wail from far away, she is near. But if you hear her cry close by, run. She is farther than you think, but she is coming for you. Some say she takes children who wander too far from home, mistaking them for her own. Others say she curses anyone who hears her, bringing them sorrow and misfortune. And if you are ever near the waters at night, and the winds carry a ghostly sob, "Oh, my children, oh, my children," turn away, close your eyes, and run. Because if you see her, La Llorona will never let you go. Now pass the marshmallows if your hands aren't shaking too much. I am hungry. I would like to have some food. I think it's actually kind of like fascinating, that little detail about hearing her voice up close or far away. Where was it? Her long white dress soaked. They say if you hear her wail from far away, she is near. So if it sounds distant, she's actually closer. But if you hear her cry close by, run, she is farther than you think, but she is coming for you. So that's interesting. I don't know why the boogeyman would do something like that. Why, if you're still far away, why make it sound like, oh, because maybe they're trying to spook you into running towards them. Okay. And if you're like close by, you sound further away to like throw you off. Okay. That's kind of interesting. Okay. I like that. That's actually fascinating. If you hear her from a distance, she's actually like super close to you. Either way, you should probably run away. Either way. There's also a little thing that says how to say the name. You say La Llorona like this. La Llorona. In Spanish pronunciation, the L's, the double L's in Spanish is pronounced like a Y. And in English, it sounds like Llorona. I didn't know that. So double L's is pronounced as Y's. Interesting. I did not know that. Now that I see it, yeah. Because Orona, Orona, Yorona. Okay, I can see it now. That was a pretty good story. Uh, Hopefully, by the time I was talking about how to pronounce the name, I had turned off the poll and everyone has voted. And whatever voted won. That's what's going to happen. Either I'm going to keep doing it or I'm not going to keep doing it. I'll only know after the poll. Um, the next one, I took the one word story, but this is the second one word story that my friends and I worked on. And some of these one word stories, it feels like someone with dementia is telling me these stories. That's what some of these one word stories feel like. People, my friends do not know how to maintain a good story. Like some of them do, but then I have a few friends that will just throw in just like a completely random word that makes zero sense to the story, and it feels like an Alzheimer's patient. Like for example, once there was a person holding bundles of bananas because of banana time. Bread was good because like bread. Where did the bread come from? Bread was good because it was bread filled with bananas and bread pieces covered with peanut brittle and poisoned Danny Phantom. You see what I mean? You see what I'm talking about? Like, my friends, when they do the one word story, it is a fever dream. It is a story that is being spoken to you with someone with dementia, alright? It is not a good story. So I took that story and I put it into ChatGPT to be turned into a one-word story. Not a one-word story, my bad. A more well-rounded story with an ending. I told it to give it an ending. And so the story is called The Curse of the Banana Time. Banana Time had arrived again. No one knew why it came or how it started, but when it did, the world turned yellow with madness. Mikhail stood at the heart of Big Trouble Town, gripping bundles of bananas in his shaking hands. His arch rival, Ed, had always despised bananas, while Ed, silent and brooding, refused to touch them. But Ed were the least of Mikhail's worries. A banana named Bob ruled the city with an iron peel. Bob had declared, "No bananas for you," to all who dared challenge his fruity reign. And yet, here Mikhail was, clutching contraband bananas, trembling under the flickering neon sign of the In and Out of Burger. Inside the greasy, dimly lit dinner, Danny Phantom sat hunched over a plate of banana bread. It wasn't ordinary banana bread. It was slathered in peanut brittle and laced with a poison too sinister to name. Danny took a bite. His eyes widened. His ghostly essence flickered. He let out an earth-shaking cry. "Big orgasm banana time!" The sky split open. From the rift descended the king of banana time, draped in golden pajama robes. He waved one hand, and wet banana water rained from the heavens, soaking the streets, turning sideways into slippery death traps. Mikhail ran. Ed, and Eddie followed, desperate to escape the cunning doom. But before they could flee, Bob's enforced arrived. Men made of toast on rye bread. Their eyes were creamy orange swirls, and they moved in unison, whispering, 1, 2, blame 3, 4, Eds, shut the door. There was nowhere left to run. Then, from an alleyway, a dog named Courage led forth, barking wildly. At his side, a cat, fur damped with banana peel sweat, licked its feet, grinning with a knowing look. Courage bit into Danny Phantom's shoulder, shaking a ghost violently. Something dark spilled from Danny's mouth. The poison, that madness. The curse of banana time. It oozed onto the pavement, sizzling against the cursed ground. The sky dimmed. The wet banana rain ceased. The toast men crumbled into dust. Bob, the once mighty banana tyrant, let out a soft sigh and peeled himself apart, vanishing into nothingness. Mikhail, gasping, turned to his old enemy Ed. They locked eyes. Bananas? Mikhail offered hastily. Ed took a deep breath. Then slowly, he reached for the banana. The curse was broken. Somewhere in the void, the king of banana time simply whispered, "Hi," and then silence. The end. I love that even with ChatGPT's help, it was still a fever dream. it was still pretty bad. It was a good effort though, I will admit, but it was still like, what was that? What did I just read? What is this? I have bad news for you folks. They're all like that. They're all a little goofy, a little off, and there's nothing I can do to stop it. The rules of, let me open my Discord real fast and see if I can read the rules. The rules are simple. It's just people have chaotic minds, all right? So the rules of the one word story is comment one word to add to the story. Pretty simple. Don't worry if it goes off track. That's part of the fun. And be respectful and keep it lighthearted. Now, a rule that I had to add because I've had some people point out that like there was like inside jokes that didn't make sense, and there was also like the direction the stories were taking weren't just going off the rails. It was completely like shifting the entire story arc altogether by adding in a random word that does not make sense to be added. So I had to add a fourth rule. The word you add should flow naturally with the current tone, theme, or direction of the story. While the story can take unexpected turns, make sure your word builds on what's already been established. Rather than forcing a sudden shift, let the chaos happen organically. And I'm going to read what's been said so far, and you can see that you can almost tell where the story starts to actually take a more normal approach after the rule was added. So, like, I'm telling you, you will be able to tell the exact moment it happens. So here's what we have so far for the one-word story. Once there was a Spooder man who died in a gutter next to Walmart. Utu was very happy. Spooder was dead and was ready to be taken to the lab. Utu cackled, dragging Spooder's corpse to the lab where resurrection and horrifying cryptic enhancements awaited. The world wasn't ready for Utu's monstrous creation. The monster made creation reconstructed from the parts of the corpse into a grotesque, hideous monster bound to the living body of rotting flesh as a wretched, horrifying. Like, you can tell, right? Like, the moment I added that rule, the story was like, okay. It can take weird directions, but it needs to flow more naturally. And, like, you can see the story went from, like, not making any sense whatsoever to now it makes sense. And I'm glad I added that rule. I really am. I'm super happy I added that rule. Alright, last podcast, I mentioned a Am I the Asshole post from a subreddit known as Am I the Asshole? And I did a poll to see if I should do another one. And everyone agreed that it was really cool. And I should keep doing Am I the Asshole posts. So, to make sure that no one has heard this one before, because there's a lot of podcasts that do these, and they mostly stick to the popular ones. So I made sure that this one was a new one. This was posted 27 minutes ago. So this one, it's not going to be something that someone has already read, unless they just came out with an episode, like, not too long ago. Otherwise, yeah, this one 27 minutes ago is going to be Reration? What? I just read a word that I don't understand. Anyways, does not matter. Doesn't matter. I was trying to find the who was the person that posted this. Is what I was trying to find. I think that was their username, and I just didn't understand how to read it. So the title of this is "Am I the asshole for refusing to move beds in a hostel in the middle of the night?" I was in a hostel trying to sleep, top bunk, when I heard a sound, and I guess I woke. It woke me up a little. 12:20 a.m. by the sound of the door opening, and then I see a shadow moving near my backpack. Suddenly, my silhouette of my backpack moves. I was so started that I lunged and snatched it back. Then looked down to see a guy standing there. Instead of apologizing, he immediately started loudly talking to me. "You're in my bed. I need you to get out of my bed." For context, my actual assigned bed is the bottom bunk. Was already occupied by someone else when I arrived, so I picked an empty top bunk instead. I tried explaining this. He said sorry, but the guy starts smirking, exhaling sarcastically, and preparing, and repeating. I tried explaining this. He said, no, I told him to just use another bed that's free, but he said, what if I sleep in a bed that is already booked? And kept going. The hostel gave me this bed. Germans take the rules seriously. He looked mid-30s, and I'm currently in Germany, by the way. Finally, another sleeper snapped awake and shouted, "Just pick a damn bed and shut up! You're waking everyone!" Only then did the guy grumble and choose another bed away. So, am I the asshole here? I get that hostels have rules, but, number one, he took my backpack first. Who takes another person's items like that? Number two, he could have quietly found staff or another bed instead of screaming at midnight. Number three, my original bed was already occupied. Was I supposed to get out and choose another bed or something? Kind of baffled by the audacity. Thoughts? For one, I think you probably should have just did what that guy did and just wake up the guy at the bottom bunk to be like, "Hey, that's my bed. Could you go find your assigned sleeping?" Like, I get the idea of assigned sleeping is kind of silly, but like that is a bed that you had paid for. You don't know if the people that are sleeping in those beds are in fact yours or not. Like they could just be from homeless people or literally someone who's just trying to find a free bed that they don't have to pay for. And so by not taking your assigned bed, you're allowing a drifter or just someone that doesn't have a home or to sleep in your bed. That being said, you didn't want to wake the person up, right? You were just kind of like, whatever, I'll just take an unoccupied bed, which, is kind of cool of you. You don't want to like make a big deal out of it. And the other person had the right to be like, "You're in my bed, get out of my bed." But like the fact that they were looking through your stuff without your permission and possibly stealing your belongings, first of all, that's not cool. I don't know what that guy was doing with that kind of figuring. At the same time, him yelling at you like that, or raising his voice at you and waking everyone else up instead of just looking for a staff member to come rearrange the beds, which would have been way more appropriate on their behalf. And the whole thing could have just been easily settled with doing that. You're absolutely right. And I think you're not really the asshole. I think you were just trying to accommodate for someone else who was already asleep, and you just didn't want to wake them up, which is kind of like a cool thing to do. To not be the guy that's like doing what he's doing, going through someone's bag, waking you up, starting to startle everyone else, waking everyone else up instead of like looking for someone to help. I think if everyone in the room was cool with you sleeping in an unoccupied bed and no one else cared, then yeah, that guy also shouldn't have cared. He should just found an unoccupied bed, fall asleep, and if there's no more beds, then that means someone there isn't supposed to be there, and that's when you get the staff involved. Because here's my thing: yes, it's kind of weird that like someone's sleeping in your bed. Big deal. At this point, I wouldn't want to sleep in a bed that someone else was sleeping in. I wouldn't want to be like, hey, could you get your smelly body out of the bed so I can enjoy it? Like, I don't know why you would think that would be a great idea. I'm assuming most everyone is going to probably shower before they go into bed, but you don't know that. I know people that don't shower before bed. They like to do morning showers, and they logically think to themselves, oh, well, I'll just shower in the morning. And, like, that's not hygienic. You should shower before bed, and they just don't do that. And honestly, personally, I feel like you should shower before bed and after bed, because there are, like, bugs and germs and things that get into your bed. And, like, when you wake up, all that is on you now. You have bacteria from your bed on you. Unless you, like, wash your sheets every single day, which I doubt, then you should take a shower every morning. Plus, it's a great way of, like, freshening up. You smell nice. You look more presentable by showering in the morning and before bed. Because you have a lot of grime on you before bed. So you should shower before bed to get the morning gunk off of you. You spend a whole day working and outside, and now you're covered in gunk and filth. But then, like, you should also shower when you wake up, so you're presentable. You have all the grime off of you. I'm before bed and after bed shower person. Sometimes even midday, just to like rinse off, get some of the gunk, refreshing myself before I'm presentable to someone. But like, there's people who literally only shower once a day, and it's sometimes not before bed, and it's after bed, and it's like, bro, that's gross. But because I know that there's people that don't shower before bed, that means that you can't assume that the person who's sleeping in your bed showered before bed. So when you tell them to be like, hey, could you get out of my bed and find your bed? I want to sleep there. Bro, you want to sleep in someone's filth? Bro, where is your mentality on that one? Where is your head at? So the fact that he was like, I want to sleep in your filth, and also I'm going to go through your stuff without your consent, and also I'm going to do this and that and this and that. Like, clearly, they're the asshole. There was a simpler way that they could have done it. I personally wouldn't have wanted to sleep in the bed that you were sleeping in. Personally, I would just found an unoccupied bed. But yeah, no, the fact that they were kind of like going through your stuff and making a big deal about it without us just getting support from staff. Yeah, no, the fault clearly falls on them. Clearly. There were some things on your part you could have probably done to avoid, but like I could see where you were just trying to be the good person in this. Uh but yeah. Let me read some of the comments. I just checked the time. There's still like another good 20 minutes. Let me read some of the comments, see what okay. Welcome to r/Am I the Assholes. Please view our voting guide here. Oh, this is from a moderator. Oh, I gotta read this. This was pinned. And remember to use only one judgment in your comment. Original post has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. I don't think so. I think they were offering opinions as to why they think they might not be the asshole. Why I might be the asshole. I didn't notify staff about the bed mix-up when I first arrived. I assumed empty bunks were fair game, especially top ones. Number 2, I refused to move immediately when confronted, which escalated the argument. Okay. I could see that one. Number 3, I might have stole his assigned bed even though mine was occupied first. Help keep the sub engaging. Don't downvote, assholes. I'm going to downvote just because you said that. Do upvote interesting posts. Okay. Here's a curious. Yeah, I am not reading that username. try a movie theater next, I'm not going to call you. And but the current move in Germany would have been to go to uh reception and ask them for a solution. I'll have to go with not the asshole, because he shouldn't have touched your stuff under your circumstances, cultural differences or not. Yeah, I agree. They should not have done that. They should have gone to the staff and sort of sort things out with them, see what the proper solution would be, and let staff deal with it. There's no reason why you need to deal with it. I face that same problem when I go into movie theaters. Like, I'll hear someone talking, or someone's being rude, or maybe they have my seat, and I don't confront them about it. I go to staff, I tell staff about it, and I let staff handle it. Because if I confront it, I have no authority. They don't have to listen to me. The only thing I'm doing is now I'm being disruptive to all of the members of the audience. And by grabbing a staff member, they're the ones that can handle it more appropriately. They understand what to do. And no one's going to like be mad at a staff member, telling someone to move. So I let them go in first. Maybe I give it like a couple of seconds before I go in. Mostly so I'm not like adding to the commotion, and then I'll go to my seat. So yeah, I agree. I feel like the same thing should apply to a hostel. If someone's in your bed, don't freak out about it. Just go to especially don't go through their stuff. Just go to a staff member and let them deal with it. Nah, just give him the bed and tell the guy in your bed to move. If he doesn't move, tell someone in charge, or just go tell someone in charge. Just saying. Or maybe just go tell someone in charge. There's not a lot of comments because there's not, this is a new post. There's some replies to it. Let's see here. One reply. It was already late, and causing a ruckus was the least I wanted to do. The guy chose an unoccupied bed. Oh, this is from the original poster. Okay, so it was already late, and causing a ruckus was the least I wanted to do. Okay. Then they replied, well, he must have been assigned a bed too, so tell him to move to his bed. I mean, I agree. I agree that you could have probably just told him to move, but I also think that the best solution was to go straight to the staff members, to let the staff members know. That's just my little personal opinion on the matter. Okay. We finished that. That is done. And there is 17 minutes left, so it's story time, everybody. I guess this entire podcast has been nothing but story time, to be honest. I've read you poetry. I've read you a campfire story. I've read you Am I the Asshole story. This whole podcast is just me reading things. That's all it is. But now it's time for me to share a little experience of my life. It's story time of my life. I have now been told by several people that this is their favorite part of the podcast, is listening to me talking about my life. I told this story to a friend not too long ago, but it's a Harry Potter story. So I got to see the first Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and I think in England it was called the Philosopher's Stone, but they changed it in America into the Sorcerer's Stone. Maybe the book's still called Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Anyways, I didn't know what that was about, and my sister was the one that really wanted to see it. But my mom and dad, they knew that I had a hard time knowing what was real and what wasn't real. I had a hard time like watching stuff on TV and then being like, so did that happen, or was that faked? I was a child, okay? This wasn't like it was when the movie came out, all right? I was still a child. So when we went, my sister was trying to like explain what the movie is about, because she read the book. She loves the book. And she was just kind of like, oh yeah, it's about this kid who goes to school, and he goes on an adventure with his friends at school. And my mom's like, oh, well, that's not so bad. Sure, let's go. And I was kind of like, that sounds boring. I don't want to do that. And my sister was like, no, no, it's fine. You can go watch this. And when I went to see the movie in theaters for the first time, no concept of what Harry Potter was. All I knew was just about a kid who's going to go to school. It sounded like a documentary. And it played, and I instantly loved the movie. I was not expecting what I saw. And it blew my mind. And I totally believed it was real. I was like, man, I hope I get my letter. But no, it was really cool. Like, it was my first time coming in contact with Harry Potter and seeing like all of those different, like the three-headed dog and the Quidditch match and the suspense of, because like I had terrible fear of height. So to see Harry on a broomstick way up in the sky kind of scared me a little bit. But no, I loved it. And it's kind of like a memory that like I hold kind of near and dear. Just remembering seeing the Philosopher's Stone for the first time in theaters. And then like I saw most of them. I didn't get to see the last, I'm going to say 3 movies, maybe 2 movies in theaters, but all of the other movies I got to see in theaters, which I feel like I was lucky to. Same thing with Star Wars. I got to see episodes 2 and episode 3 in theaters. I don't think I got to see episode 1 in theaters, but I got to see it on VHS, so that's kind of cool. And wow, what's another movie I saw in theaters? I feel like I might have seen The Lion King in theaters. I know I saw the Jim Carrey's The Grinch in theaters, which I thought was absolutely awesome. Like, watching The Grinch in theaters put me in the Christmas mood for the rest of that month. Like, I was, oh yeah, it's Christmas time. Christmas time is here. Same thing with Elf. Watching Elf in theaters was amazing. And yeah, no, I remember seeing The Hangover in theaters, not just once, but like I think 3 times. I watched The Hangover 3 times in theaters, and I watched Bad Grandpa twice in theaters. And the reason why I say that is because every movie that has came out in theaters, I have only watched once. But Bad Grandpa, I've seen twice. Hangover, I've seen 3 times. Step Brothers, I definitely watched twice. And I remember my dad telling me that like I laughed the loudest for Step Brothers. Like, every single joke that was in the movie, I was bawling. And there was like people who weren't laughing as loud as I was. I didn't care. I was ready to laugh. I wanted to laugh. And there was some people who started laughing because of my laughter. Like, this movie theater was kind of quiet, and because I was the only one laughing, I was starting to hear like other people kind of like chuckle, and then it almost like as if I broke the seal. Like, I've opened the floodgates. Now everyone started laughing, and it was kind of fun doing that, getting everyone to participate, because you're at a comedy. If no one laughs, then you're going to think it was a bad movie. But if everyone laughs, if everyone's laughing, I mean hard laughing, then in your head, you go, wow, that was an amazing comedy. And I did that for Bad Grandpa. I did that for Step Brothers. I did that for Elf. And like, yeah, don't be afraid to laugh. Like, if you're in a theater, don't be just like, well, I'm in a theater, so I have to be quiet. No, laugh. You're at a comedy. It's okay. You can laugh. But if you can, do it loud. Do it loudly. Don't just chuckle. If you're going to laugh, purposely laugh loud. Purposefully try to laugh as hard and as loud as you can. Even if it wasn't that funny, the fact that it got you to chuckle, laugh as hard as you can. Trust me on this. You're not going to regret it. No one's going to turn to you and be like, excuse me, could you not laugh so loudly? No one's going to do that to you. I've done this multiple times, and like I've noticed the moment I'm starting to laugh, everyone else kind of like goes more at ease, and they kind of open up too. Um, One time I laughed that I probably shouldn't have laughed was when I saw the live action Lion King, not the new one, but I'm talking the remake of the Lion King. And I knew Mufasa was going to die. I knew it. I knew it was coming. And like as I'm watching it, my my partner at the time kind of turns to me and she's like, hey, "Do you hear that?" And I was like, "What?" And she points behind me, and I kind of like turn my head to listen, and like all the kids were crying. And hearing them cry, I know I shouldn't have, but like it made me laugh, and I laughed pretty hard. And I'm the only one laughing, and like Simba is like, "Come on, Dad, wake up!" And I am bawling, not because the scene is funny, but just hearing all the children cry, because like we were like in the front row, we were like all the way in the front, so I couldn't see them or hear them that well. But like once I noticed all the people behind me were crying, that was the funniest thing to me. And that was an awkward laugh. I couldn't help it. I laughed. I felt bad for laughing. Uh oh man, awesome. I was if you were in Vegas and you heard me laughing, that was me. I was the one that was laughing at you crying. Uh It wasn't like one or two people, by the way. It was like almost. I'm when I mean all of them, I mean imagine like 30 or 40 kids are crying hard. They're crying hard. It is a wailing of tears behind me, and it wasn't just kids. It was like parents too. Like there was parents crying, and like I think they were crying mostly because their kids were crying, and like it was an emotional scene, so like it invoked them to cry. So like just imagine just for a second, you're watching a movie, you know a certain scene's coming up, and your partner's like, "Do you hear that?" And you turn around and you hear this symphony of crying people. Like, did you not know? Is this your first time? Do you not know Mufasa dies? That's gotta be heart wrenching then. Oh man, I did the same thing. I there's a scene in Pokemon the movie where Ash Ketchum dies, and Pikachu's crying, and like I knew it was coming, but my significant other didn't know. I say significant other. I don't mean we were married. We were engaged, but we were never married, by the way. But like that's not important to the story. she the scene comes up, and I look over and she is just bawling. She is crying so hard. And I'm just like, "Huh." I forgot that was in the movie. And I was like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Why is it so sad?" And I'm like, "Oh no. It gets worse." And she goes, "What do you mean it gets worse?" She's like, why is this scene so long?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, it gets worse." And then Ash turns to stone, and Pikachu starts trying to resurrect him with a lightning bolt. And she's like, "You're right, it did get worse." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, it's okay if you need to cry." It wasn't just like a few tears. She was weeping. She was weeping. I know I'm not making fun of people that cry. Like I cry. Like in The Mandalorian, where Mando takes his helmet off for Grogu, and like, yeah, I cried for that. That was painful. And you know, I've also cried when Dobby dies, and I also cried when in Dragonheart, and the horse in the Neverending Story, and Littlefoot's mom passing away. Now as an adult, like Littlefoot's mom passing away, that was more of like a child thing, and uh, but like no, like I'm not a monster. Like I do cry at certain scenes. However, however, there are times where I will know a certain scene is about to take place, a certain moment in a movie, and watching someone cry, because it's like it's not a new movie, it's an old movie. To hear a whole symphony of tears, the wailing of people behind me, the overwhelming amount of people who are crying, that is what made me laugh. It's like watching Titanic, and when Jack dies, everyone starts crying. It's like, dude, you realize how old this movie is, right? It'd be different. I feel like it'd be different if it was like a couple of people, right? Like a few people here or there. Okay, yeah, it's fine. This is kind of a touching scene, but everyone, but everyone, I don't know. I feel like my laughter was justified. I feel like I deserved to laugh at that. I get it. It was at a most inappropriate time for me to laugh. It was involuntary. It wasn't like I was planning to do a villainous laughter right there and then. But just, I don't know, hearing everyone cry, that got me going. That was pretty funny. I am currently 3 minutes away from ending, and I think I can end here. I think 3 minutes is not a bad place to end. Thank you to everyone who joined the live chat to chat with me and be a part of our growing audience. I do notice that like when people return to the podcast, it brings me a lot of joy to see everyone be here and participating. And I have a good feeling that this podcast will eventually grow into something bigger. And I look forward to that. But thank you for everyone that showed up. Thank you to the people who watch it afterwards. Because there's people who don't show up to the premiere, but they will watch the stream at the stream. But the premiere of the podcast after the premiere. And I'm always grateful for those that show up and for those that stick around to rewatch it. And I'm always excited to do these episodes when I remember to do them. I'm doing this episode on a Saturday. It is currently 6:59 p.m. and I am trying to get this recorded and finished in time to post it on Sunday. Which is funny because like I'm ending this podcast a minute before it starts on Sunday, which I think is kind of cool, kind of funny, and kind of cool, kind of meta. Which now it's 7 p.m. So I'm gonna end the podcast or this episode here to end it on 7 p.m. just to make it kind of meta. It ended at the time it started. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to having all of you in the live chat once again next week.